Well, I think it's time for us to start in on our meeting. And I do want to start off by reminding everyone that, first of all, thanking you for being patient about our changing the date of our annual banquet from last Saturday, which might have been a rain problem for everyone. And encouraging you, please, to come next Wednesday, the 25th. And Charlotte, please, we would love to have you come also. That annual banquet, we'll be giving awards, we'll be showing the top images for the year. We'll actually be doing a People's Choice vote on some print images that we had during the year. And it will be at the Magic Dragon on Broadway and in Santa Maria. 6 p.m. on next Wednesday. And that's a reminder also to those of you who I notified that you have print images that should be part of that People's Choice. Please bring your print images next Wednesday. If you have any questions on that, email me. But those of you that had print images, I have sent emails out, but if you're unsure, please let me know because we can't vote on them unless you bring them. I'm really looking forward to seeing all of you. We'll be installing our new officers as well as all the awards and seeing lots of images. And we have an amazing speaker, Jan Louie, who is from the Santa Barbara County area, and she is a traveling photographer, portrait photographer. She's going to bring some amazing images for us to see. So it's going to be a very, very nice evening, and hope to see you all there.
I want to add something too. Bring your checks to pay your dues if you haven't done so
Yeah.
already.
Bring money too.
I have quite a few for you. I have quite a few for you, Alan.
Okay, cool.
So,
There is no theme and there is no charge for the banquet. You're just going to pay for your meal at the Magic Dragon. Whatever you order, you pay for.
Do we have to breathe smoke and fire to get in?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yes,
It would
please.
help.
Daniel, you're welcome to come too if you like to join us. We'd love to have you a member of the
We
club.
would love to have you come also.
Oh, I appreciate it. I live in Monterey now, so it's a little bit.
Oh,
a little
gosh.
bit farther of a drive.
Okay.
Yes,
What?
they probably are. I'm going to mute us.
Okay.
He said fly.
Oh, fly.
Fly.
Unfortunately, there's no direct flight from Monterey to Santa Barbara.
No.
You don't fly to Santa Barbara, you fly here to Napomo.
Oh yeah,
You can ride down there with us.
my
Slow to
private
Santa
plane
Maria.
is in the shop, so it's a little harder.
It's only 3-hour drive.
I know it's only a 3-hour drive. But
Well, not anymore that the one's destroyed.
Yeah.
yeah, well, it takes a little longer on the one, anyways. But yeah,
That takes 6 hours on the one.
the one's gonna be closed for a couple months now, I think.
Yeah, it is.
That
Yeah.
usually happens every winter at some point, but not as probably as bad as this year. But
Well, it wasn't as bad as it could have been, and then the last day, what was it, Saturday? A bigger slide happened and took out both lanes and part of one lane of the actual road. So, that takes a little bit longer to fix than just clearing debris. So,
Well, there for a while they were thinking that if the Salinas River flooded over, that you guys would be an island again.
I know I didn't believe that. I actually left.
Well, it actually has happened in the past.
It has, but I didn't because I've been covering the storm since it started. So I just didn't think it was going to happen, and I had plans to go to San Diego, and I was like, I'm still going to go, and of course nothing happened. So
Yeah, good.
But, yeah.
Well, we should get our competition started. And who is introducing Daniel?
Well, that would normally be
Okay.
Tony, but Tony's not here, so Daniel,
know
can you
what?
tell us a little bit about yourself? I know
Yeah.
you've
Yes,
judged for
please,
us in the
Daniel, tell us
past.
about yourself.
So my name's Daniel Dreyfus. I'm a staff photographer at the Monterey County Weekly. I also freelance for the New York Times, Reuters, AP, Wall Street Journal, EPA, and then also I'm a contract photographer with the United Nations Refugee Agency. And yeah, I actually kind of started my photojournalism career as a staffer at the Santa Maria Times when Tony worked there and was there for 4.5 years before moving back to Santa Barbara where I went to school. I went to Brooks. And yeah, I've been with the Weekly for about a year and a half now and still do some freelance work. Yeah. Um, and yeah, I just sorry, I'm a little shaken up about Tony. I just have such great memories of him working with him and um keeping in touch with him over the years, and he's just always laughing, always fun. He was a pleasure to work with. It was just yeah, it's just, when I talked to him the other day and he sort of gave me the rundown, he kind of acted like, there was just a few spots in his lungs and they think they can get it, and but wasn't sure. So yeah. Um but that yeah, so that's just a little bit about me. So yeah, but when I lived in Santa Maria, I did come to the live meetings way before COVID where everything was normal. Um but yeah, I'm happy to be back judging, and thanks for having me.
I just got a text message from Tony saying that he's having problems connecting with us tonight. He's at Marion.
Mhm.
And he wanted to make sure that I said hello to Daniel.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
Right,
you.
so we're going to start. I'm going to start with the color images. We actually have a lot of images tonight. We have 35 images in color. And Daniel, in case you don't remember, we'll step through them first to let everybody see them, see what's been entered. And then we'll go back and ask you one by one to give us your evaluations and your summary score for each one.
All right, sounds good.
So will we be doing color or black and white? Oh, color
We're
first.
doing color first. I thought we were. Come on. Share Adobe Bridge.
Let me see.
There we go. Okay. Okay, this is our first image.
This is titled A Day at the Beach.
Okay. Now, do you want me to speak about the image and then also give it or just give it the points?
If you've got comments, we'd appreciate the comments. We like to know what other people think of our work, and then we want total score.
Okay.
Especially if you have comments on how to make it better.
Okay, sure. Yeah, this image is interesting to me. I mean, it's a great beach shot. My only critique is that you can't see any of the kids' faces, so you don't really get a whole lot of emotion from them. And I'm sure they're having fun, but not being able to see their faces doesn't say that. The kid on the left, his body language says that. But for the girls, you can't see their emotion as much. That would be my only critique, really. That and if you want either the two boys or the three girls in the shot, try to cut the boys out or cut the girls out and focus on the boys. Kind of choose which way you want to go with it. But for impact, I would give it a 4. For composition, I'd give it a 5. And technique, I do like the reflections on and I think that's really good. So for technique, I would give it a 6.
So 15.
15, yeah.
Okay.
A Textured Rose.
This one was interesting because I couldn't figure out if it was a photograph or a pencil drawing. However, the composition on this is I really like. I like where the rose is placed, and I like how the contrast of the rose is different from the rest of the photo. I like how it pops. Like the rose really pops with a nice, clean, interesting background. For impact, I would give this a 6. For composition, I'd give it a 6. And then for technique, I just it looks either too photoshopped or it looks like a painting or a drawing. So I'm gonna give it a 4 on that.
15.
15?
Yeah, 15.
15. Okay.
15, yeah, 1-5.
1-5.
Adobe and Rust.
Yeah, for this, I stared at this image for a little while actually when I was looking at them yesterday, and I liked it. It is interesting just because I know how dry it's been, so there's not a whole lot of green in a normal scene that would be a lot of green. But what I like about it is the shadows coming off the gate, and the composition could be a little bit better, but overall, like, it was a nice scenery shot. So impact, I would give it a 5. Composition, I'd give it a 6. And technique, I think with the technique, there could be a way to kind of pop the highlights a little bit more and bring down the shadows. So for technique, so composition 6, technique, I'm going to give it a 4.
15.
Yeah.
This is Big Waves at Morro Bay.
For this one, what I really liked is it's a beautiful, beautiful shot of the waves crashing, and you got some birds flying low. Usually you see the birds up above, and that's what I kind of liked about it. Everything in this, everything in the image kind of works together, and the birds are on one side of the rocks. The contrast between the waves and the birds, you can see the birds. So I really like that. For impact, I would give it a 6. For composition, I'm going to give it a 7, and for technique, I'm going to give it a 6 as well.
19. Bryce Canyon.
So I really like the lighting on this because it really makes the canyons and the mountains there pop. It's a really interesting time of day that you shot this at. I love the trees coming up in the background. Um, I like the highlights on the hills along with the dark shadows. Once again, that's kind of a personal preference. I like deep shadows and bright highlights. So, um, but for me, for impact, I would give it a 6. For composition, I would give it um, a 5, only because I think you can cut out the very top of this image, make it a little bit more, compose it a little bit better. So I'm going to give it a 5 on the composition, but technique, I think this is a great technique. Learning to use those highlights and shadows is great, so I'm going to give it a 6.
17.
17. Capturing Valley View.
So this is a great image. Very rarely do you get water in the waterfalls in Yosemite, so good job on that. Also, I just like you did. There's a great middle ground. The person wearing a red jacket really makes the subject pop, but also not pop too much, where it takes away from the beautiful landscape. The clouds are it's nicely lit. Great highlights on the left side coming on the mountain. So impact for me was 7 on the impact, composition a 6, and technique. I really do like the technique. This is a well um, well exposed photo. So technique, I'm going to give a 7 as well.
20.
20. Yeah. Court Street Mall.
So I like the lighting on this. I think the lighting really makes the image. I would have liked to see a little bit more of the reflection in the foreground there. Um, and maybe a little bit tighter. Maybe a little bit cropped, tighter. But overall, this is kind of a fun photo of a scene at a mall. Um, I would like to see the people a little bit more if that's what you were going for, or if you were looking for the lighting and the store windows and the stars and stuff. You kind of got to, lean one way or the other to make something the subject of the photo. But for impact, I would give it a 5. Composition, I'd give it a 4. Just for me, I'd just like to see a little bit more, either the reflection or the street there. So for composition, yeah, composition was 4, and then technique. I do like your technique. I think nicely exposed. And so I'm going to give you a 6 on the technique there.
15.
1-5.
Feeding time at 6 Luca.
Yeah. So for me, this is a very kind of fun photo. I like the kitties. It's very cute. I like how they're all doing something different. One staring at the camera, um, like he's a model. Impact, I would give a 5. Composition, I think you got a lot working in this photo. You got that stuff hanging on the wire there. Why not use that? A little bit more direct on might have helped that. But I'll give it a 5 on the composition. And then technique, for me, this just looks a little bit too over photoshopped. I'm not sure if it's a little too HDR-y. So I'm going to give a 4 on that on the technique.
14. 1-4.
Hypnotic.
This was a cool image. I like I like these kinds of shots where you play with the light and it's moving and you got a whole bunch of people in it moving, but everything is bright and colorful. So this is really cool. My only critique is kind of for these you want to kind of get a little bit lower so the people are moving in the foreground, and then you have the background of the Ferris wheel there. But overall, it's a really cool shot. So for impact, I'm going to give it a 6. Composition, yeah, composition a 5, and technique. This is not an easy technique to nail down, so I'm going to give it a 6.
17.
17.
17.
Light tunnel.
So I kind of had to look at this one to figure out what it was for a minute, and I realized it was a tunnel, and it's very interesting. This is one of those situations where you either put people in the tunnel and make it, or you just get rid of the people and you take it without the people. And you did a really nice job of getting it without anyone in it, but still showing what it was. So impact, I'm going to give a 5. Composition, I'm going to give a 5, and technique, I'm going to give a 6.
16. 16.
Pfeiffer House at Custer Ghost Town.
For me, this image is a really nice still life image. The lighting on it is very, very nice. It, there's nothing, you can see that it's old, and it's just kind of a classic. It's almost like a still life painting from the 1700s or something. And then it's also very nicely composed. Like there's not too much in the foreground, and there's nothing that takes away from the middle ground in the background. So I really did like this image. And so I'm going to give for impact, I'm going to give a 6. For composition, I'm going to give a 7, and technique, I'm going to give a 6.
19. 19.
Prickly pear cactus.
I like this image of the cactus really pops to me. And I like that. I like to see the greens and the yellows and the reds that are all coming through on each of the cactus. It looks a little bit too saturated. But for me, like that's just for me. Like if you want to edit with a little bit more saturation, go for it. I'm not one to tell anyone to not do that. But for me, it's a little bit too saturated, but the composition is very nice. You can even go a little bit tighter. But overall, the impact, I'm going to give a 5. But for composition, I'm going to give a 7. And for technique, I'm going to give a 5 as well.
17.
17.
Riding back in time.
Yeah, this image, I love the windmill. I love the water that's kind of leading your eye to the windmill. I wish that was kind of the focus of the photo, of just the boat and maybe a little bit of the houses or barns. But overall, this is a very interesting way to look at, riding through a canal. I'm not sure where this was taken, but it kind of makes me want to go there and check it out. And so the photographer did a really nice job. I would have liked to see it a little bit tighter, but overall, I like the colors. I like the water. I do like the black house on the side and the windmill. Those are both great additions to the composition, and there's nice separation between them and the background as well. For impact, I'm going to do a 5. For composition, I'm going to do a 4. But technique, I'm going to give it a 6.
15.
15.
Waterworld 1.
I like the reflections in the water. The trees are very interesting, and you do make them pop. You know, looking at it, it looks like a very interesting place. I would have liked to see a little bit more in the foreground, maybe even getting a little lower with a little bit more reflection and making the trees come to life a little bit more. But overall, this is a very, it's almost like a bright spooky, because those trees are kind of creepy, but not too creepy, but it's also super bright out. So it's, you know, you're probably not going to get murdered just yet. But so for impact, I'm going to give it a 5. Composition, I'm going to give it a 5, and technique, a 5 as well.
15. 15.
Aerial view of a sandbar.
Yeah, this is really cool. I think it's an interesting photo just because when you first look at it, you're not sure what kind of design that sandbar's giving you. I love aerial photography, so it's a little bit, for me, it makes it a little bit more interesting. But I do like how the green bushes on the ground pop. And it gives a little bit more separation from the rocks to the beach. It's very interesting. So for impact, I'm going to give it a 6. For composition, I'm going to give it a 5. And technique, I'm going to give it a 6.
17. 17.
Beauty and the Bee.
This one for me was really cool. I know I've seen a lot of images of macro photography of bees going up to flowers, and it is a very hard thing to do. To make sure you get the, you know, exposure light, you get the bee sharp, you get the flower sharp. There's a lot that goes into a photo like this, and you know, there's people that make this look really easy. I could spend hours on end trying to do this and probably not get it done. So I do like the placement of the bee, the flower, the yellow, the whites, the greens in the background. It's clean. It's well composed. For impact, I'm going to give it a 6. Composition, I'm going to give it a 7. And technique, I have to give it a 7. This is very, for me, it's very hard to do.
20.
So
20. 20.
Bixby Bridge sunset.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. So yeah, for this, the colors in this are really well done. It's really nicely exposed. You definitely see the bridge, the water, the mountains, everything. It's a cool shot. Something like that. I just, for me, I've seen this shot before. So there's nothing, you know, and that's fine, because sometimes I see other people's photos and I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I want to go get the same photo. And so, but for me, you know, it's a classic, beautiful photo of Bixby Bridge there. So impact, I'm going to give it a 5. I do like the composition on it. I do think the bridge is at a great level below the horizon. The sun's in a nice spot. Colors are great. So composition, I'm going to give it a 6, and technique, I mean, I'm going to give it a 5 as well.
16.
16.
16.
Cow Palace.
The, yeah, this is I'd like to see a cow in the photo. Maybe, drinking some tea or something at the palace. But uh, it's a very cool shot. I mean, I love those old buildings, and especially when they're they're painted bright green and have a funny name on it. So this is very interesting. It's for me, it could either be tighter or wider. I'm not sure because I don't know where it is, but it is. I do like the colors. The colors pop. The building pops. The background is nice. It's clean. So for me, for impact, I'm going to give it a 6. For composition, I'm going to give it a 4, and technique, I'm going to give it a 5.
15. 15.
Enhanced 2.
Yeah, for me, I'd like to see. I mean, this is such a coolly shaped tree. I'd like to see the photographer get a little bit closer to the branch. Maybe go a little bit wider, and really spread those limbs of the tree out. But other than that, it's nicely exposed. I do think, um, your eye follows the tree all the way through, so there's nothing distracting in the foreground or background, which is nice. Um, Impact, I'm going to give a 5. Composition, I'm going to give a 5, and technique a 5.
15. 15.
Fremont Perspective.
I like this image. I think it's fun. I do like neon lights though, so there's that. But it does, you did a really nice job of exposing neon correctly, and the Fremont really pops, but then you also have the Fremont going down in the background, which isn't quite as bright, which is nice because your eye doesn't go directly there. So this is, I think this is very nice, composed and very good technique. Impact 5, composition. I do like the composition. I think it's interesting. 6, and technique. I'm going to give a 6.
17.
17.
I see a full moon rising.
Um,
I see the full moon rising.
Excuse me. Yeah, this is a really clean, interesting photo to me. You did a really nice job exposing and composing it. I would like to either see it without the two people on the side and just the guy looking at the moon. But either way, I think it really works. So I think, yeah, I like it. You could zoom in a little bit more, but that's just a personal preference. So that's on me. Like, that's my opinion. Impact, I'm going to do a 6. Composition, I'm going to do a 7, and technique, I'm going to give a 5, only because I think there's ways to play around with the scene, especially when you get that clean of a shot of the moon with some clouds and people. There's ways to play around with it. So
18.
18. Just another spectator sport.
This one, this one I liked. I just thought this was very interesting, because I've been to the scene many times covering wildfires, And I've seen these people, that bring chairs, block rows, prevent access for firefighters, and they just hang out and watch the fire like it's an entertainment. Um, but overall, I mean, this is a very interesting shot of the scene, um, and so I would like to see a little bit less of the cars, but that's also my personal preference. But I think you really kind of capture it because the dogs look bored and she's entertained by this fire, and you got news crews and you got somebody else sitting in a chair watching the fire, and it's like, what's going on? Um, so I think for impact, I'm going to do a 6. Composition, I'm going to do a 6, and technique, I'm going to do a 6 as well.
18. 18.
Misty Lake, Muskegon.
I like this shot because it has a dog in it, and so that makes it really good. And so, but I also like the shot because of the colors in contrast. The sand, the ocean, the sky, the trees, everything has contrast in this. Even the dog kind of matched the hillside colors that lead into the dog. Um, so I like that aspect of it. Really nice technique on getting those colors to pop, the waves to pop, the sand to pop, the trees to pop, the sky to pop. Um, Really, really interesting. I would like so for impact, I'm gonna do a 6. Composition wise, I would like to see it cropped horizontal, um, and maybe a little bit less of the sky, just because the sky is moody, and I think it would add a little bit, take your eye away from the brightness of the white spots in the sky. But so for composition, I give it a 5, and technique, I think this is a really nice technique. So I'm going to give it a 6.
17. 17.
Night Watchman.
Um, for me, this bird is well placed with its background. And you don't always see that, especially with these kinds of photos where you see a bird and it's just somebody trying to capture the bird in focus. And for me, it's just well placed right in the middle of the building behind it. Um, and I like that. I think it makes the bird pop, but it also makes the edges of the photo pop as well. So impact, I'm going to give it a 6. Composition, I'm going to give it a 7, and technique, I'm going to give it a 5.
18. 18.
Sunset at Mono Lake.
Yeah, I like the placement of the sun. It really, excuse me. It's really interesting to me because you see just a piece of the sun popping out behind the rocks there. I do think I like the light on the sky. The clouds really come through. And I also like the light streaks coming down the hills in the background. It's very interesting. This also like kind of gives the middle ground, foreground, background gives a really nice moody scene to it, and so that's why I like it. I think the impact is a 5. Composition, it could be a little bit tighter, but a 5, and then technique. This is a very nice technique, so 6.
16. 16.
Worlds Within and Worlds Without.
Yeah. for me, this one is really like the colors and the contrast between the light, the dark, the inside, the outside, the light on the person there, and then the light on the bottom of the window. Everything kind of works. You did a really nice job exposing this. I think we either need to see more of the person on the right um or less of the restaurant. But I think overall, I mean, it's a very interesting shot. Once again, do like the reflections on the sidewalk. I think that's cool. Um, I would try this shot maybe a little bit straighter on to get more and maybe a little bit tighter. But impact, I'm going to give a 5. Composition, I'm going to give it a 5. But technique, I'm going to give it a 6. Because this is, it's a photo that you have to know your exposures to get correctly. So, and you did a really nice job on that.
16, 16.
A plethora of pelicans.
This is really, really cool. I do like pelicans, so that it's also, I like what you did with the sand on the bottom and the foreground, and then the middle ground where you see 2 different layers of pelicans, where 1, they're on the beach, and 2, they're in the water, and then 3, they're in the sky flying. And I do like a lot that there's 2 sets of 3 pelicans. I felt like you did a really nice job of capturing them all together, especially because on the right side, the 3 pelicans, 2 of their wings are facing down, 1 is up, and then on the other side, 1 is up, and then 2 are down. So it kind of moves together. For impact, I'm going to give a 6. Composition, I'm going to give a 6, and technique, I will give a 5.
17,
17.
17.
Grand Canyon.
This is a really nice landscape shot. This is one of those shots where, we see a lot of these Grand Canyon shots, and they're always similar and different in the same time. But for this one, it's nicely exposed. I think the composition's nice. I do like the clouds and the sky, the blue, the red, and then the green. I think it all works together, creating some nice layers. So for impact, I'm going to give a 5, composition a 5, and technique, I'm going to give a 6.
16, 16.
Holiday lights.
So I looked at this image several times, and I couldn't tell if she was in focus or not. So for me, unless you either, for me, focus is an extreme. So you either need to be tack sharp on the eyes, or if it's not supposed to be in focus, it needs to be tack sharp on something else to create that contrast and to tell people that you're not, that wasn't your goal to be focused. So for me, bringing, I think this is nicely lit, with the lights in the background. But I don't think she's sharp. I could be wrong. It could just be the file size. But so for me, for impact, I'm going to give a 5. Composition wise, I'm going to give a 5. And technique, I'll give a 5.
15, 15.
Lake Michigan Lighthouse.
I like this image. I can see this image in like a beach house or a lake house, or whenever I can afford a second home, that house. but for me, the blue and red and the brown all separate the lighthouse, and it's really nice. I like the lines leading up on the boardwalk. I like the placement of the horizon against the lighthouse. And I would like to see this either horizontal or more vertical with a little bit less sky. But overall, this is a really clean, interesting, nice, composed shot. For impact, I'm going to give it a 5. For composition, I'm going to give it a 6. And technique, I'm going to give it a 6.
17, 17.
Out on a limb.
Good thing my dog's not in the room. She tried to attack the computer screen. Um, but this is kind of a fun shot. This was also an image where I couldn't tell if it maybe just the image that was sent to me, but I couldn't tell if the squirrel was sharp all the way through with the eyes. And for me, that's pretty important because you got the bokeh behind you, and but for me, it is a very interesting shot just because the squirrel has so much mood and personality going into it. It looks like it's about to attack something or watching something very carefully. And I think you did a good job of capturing that. I also like the lines. The tail kind of goes through and along with the branch pointing exactly where the squirrel's looking at. I think that's very interesting. Impact, I'm going to give a 6. Composition, I'm going to give a 5. And technique, I'm going to give a 4. Just because I don't think it's sharp. But
15, 1 5.
Yeah.
Singing in the rain.
For me, I like these kind of moody night shots. They are interesting. The shot also kind of says like weren't you were a little bit afraid to get closer, or you didn't have a long lens at the time. But for me, I'd like to see a little bit more of the guy playing the music. There's a little bit of a highlight coming off the car behind him, which is kind of a little bit distracting. I'd like to see it a little bit tighter as well, just focus in on them as well. But I do like the rainy, and the streets are all wet. The trees are nice. The green makes the other colors pop. So for impact, I'm going to give it a 5. Composition 5 and technique 5.
15, 1 5.
Umbrella evening.
This was an interesting image. I looked at this for a little while, trying to wrap my head around it. I think the colors and the reflection of the umbrella are really cool. I think the reflection off the ground and the water, it leads your eyes, like the line of water leads your eye directly to the umbrella, and then pop, there goes the green. This was really interesting to look at. It's a great photo. Impact, I'm going to do a 6. Composition 6. Technique, I'm going to give a 5. I think there was a few more angles to try on this that may be a little bit more interesting, but overall it was a nice image.
17, 1 7.
Camelot comes to Pismo.
For me, this was a really nice portrait. This is a beautiful light on her, on the horse. She has a great expression. The background is very clean. Yeah, this is kind of like one of those. It almost looks like somebody got dressed up just to go take some photos of riding a horse on the beach, which is fine. But I do really like the light coming across the horse, the shadows on the backside, and just very clean. Anytime photographing on the beach, you're fighting, trying not to get all the kids and people running around in the background. And I don't know if this was a private beach or you just got lucky, but this is a very nice composed portrait. And I liked it. Impact, I'm going to give it a 6. Composition, I'm going to give it a 6. And technique, I'm going to give it a 7.
19. 19.
Scarecrow.
This was a kind of a moody, fun image. I just kind of, for me, that being up close and personal with the scarecrow and then kind of making it, desaturating it, is an interesting technique and it kind of cool. Impact, I'm going to give it a 5. Composition. I'm not sure if the trees work on the right side, but composition, I'm going to give it a 5, but technique, I'm going to give it a 6.
16. 6.
Okay. We have some ties to break. We need to break the tie between number 6 and number 16 for first and second.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a tough one. They're both beautiful, great images. And I think first place, I think I'm going to give it to the one on the left of the woman at Yosemite. And a very close second to the bee and the flower. Yeah.
Okay. And then the third, we have a tie between number 4, number 11, and number 34.
Okay.
Now, is there 2 honorable mentions, correct?
Actually, tonight, since we have over 30 images, we will have 3 honorable mentions.
Oh, 3 honorable mentions. Okay.
So we have 1 for every 10 images. And
I think I'm going to give third place to the middle one, the middle image. To me, that's just a very nice, beautiful still life image. And then definitely the other 2 are both, if this was a portrait category, the one on the right would definitely be a contender. I think they're all very, very good images in their own way. I just personally like the still life image a little bit more. So.
Okay. So we get to pick one more honorable mention, and we need to break the tie for number 21, 22, 24, and that's it. Just those 3. We need to pick one for honorable mention.
Okay. On this one, I think I'm going to go with the middle one. I think that has a lot going on, and yeah, it also has dogs, so that has plays an effect as well. But I think it's just a very interesting photo. Pops a little bit more to me.
Okay.
Which one is that, Elaine?
We did this. I'm sorry. What is that, Jim?
What number is?
That would be. Let's see.
22?
Where did I go? Find that? No. Number 22.
Yep.
Just another
22.
spectator sport.
Oh, 22, okay.
22.
Yeah,
22.
so that's an HM also.
Right.
That is, yes.
Right.
Okay, we did it. This is titled A Day at the Beach by Elaine Calvert. A Textured Rose by Rosie Brancasio. Adobe and Rust by Frank Tromp. Big Waves at Morro Bay, and one of our honorable mentions by Ron Calvert.
Good work, Ron.
Yay, Ron.
Oh, yeah.
Bryce Canyon by Penny Powell. Capturing Valley View, and First Place by Jeannie Sparks.
Very nice, Jean.
Awesome, Gene.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really, really beautiful.
I would want to be wearing my woolies if I was there.
Yeah, it was cold.
Port Street Mall by Gregory Doudna. Feeding Time at 6 Luca by Cheryl Decker. Hypnotic by Kevin Miller. Light Tunnel by Alan Upshaw. Pfeiffer House at Custer Ghost Town, and Third Place by Ed E. Powell.
Where do you go, Ed?
Yeah, nice.
Prickly Pear Cactus by Larry Decker.
I like this one.
Yeah, but I think they're barrel cactuses.
Yeah, I think that's
yeah.
what they are.
They're not prickly pears.
No, they are barrel cactuses.
Oh, I'm sorry. The last one, could we go back one? Oh, no, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm lost. Writing Back in Time by Harold Litweiler.
Where's that at, Harold?
Amsterdam.
All right.
It was a Z or Z museum or something.
Very good.
Nice.
Waterworld 1 by Charlotte Daigle.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, where was that?
Is that?
That's Louisiana.
Ah,
It looks like cypress swamp.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It is.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What is the crocodile?
Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yes, you did. Thank
Oh,
you.
good. Good. This is Aerial View of a Sandbar by Penny Powell.
Penny, that looks like a drone shot.
Oh, man.
I was on a bridge.
Oh, I thought maybe you were parachuting down.
And I'm assuming this was before the flood.
Yes, it was before the flood.
'Cause I'm sure the sandbar's gone now.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yep. No one can remake that photo. It's one of a kind. Beauty and the Bee, and our second place by Jeannie Sparks.
Very nice, Jean.
Great shot, Jeannie.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
beautiful work.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun. That's Land Park in Sacramento, and they had a lot of these lotuses. They'll probably grow back. And I took them 2 different trips, and I got lucky on some of the shots, but I did spend a lot of time. And then one day when I was there, these lotuses, I don't know, they decided it was time to prune them, and they're just like taking them all out. And I'm like, there's still dragonflies around and bees that need those, So I was kind of upset. I don't think they had a good schedule for clearing out there.
I do like the pollen packs on the legs of the bee.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You know that park is William Land Park.
Oh yeah, William Land Park.
Yeah.
I'll go there sometime. This is Bixby Bridge Sunset by Kevin Miller.
Kevin,
I really like
this.
this.
Is one of the best images of Bixby Bridge I've ever seen.
yeah. it's
Really?
beautiful.
Yeah.
Mostly because of the sunset and the clouds.
Yeah. Christmas
Yeah, the
Day
color.
is a fun one.
Yeah.
The purple.
Yeah, it's really well done, Kevin.
Yeah, very nice.
Cow Palace by Cheryl Decker.
I love the The humor in that. Good
Yeah.
catch.
I'm sure that the actual location in San Francisco would be insulted.
Yeah.
Is
Send it
that,
to him.
is that shot on film?
That's on Price Road.
But I agree with Kevin. You should have a cow drinking tea.
Yeah.
I said Kevin. I meant
Let's
Daniel.
Photoshop it
I meant Daniel. Sorry.
in.
This is Enhanced 2 by Charlotte Daigle.
Nice.
Fremont Perspective by Gregory Doudna.
I
hope
like,
you show this
I
one
like that
again.
angle, Greg. It's a really good angle.
Yeah, and the graphics of it and the colors, you got perfect exposure on that, and the graphics are just beautiful.
Yeah, I thought I did a good job on it.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, show it again.
I See the Full Moon Rising by Ron Calvert.
And I kind of agree with Daniel that having the other two people not in the scene would really improve the image.
Or change the title. I don't care about the full moon rising.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had something else on their mind.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Just Another Spectator Sport and another honorable mention by Frank Trump.
Nice photo, Frank.
Thanks.
Where
I
was
like
that
that.
taken?
Down in Goleta.
That's
Oh.
crazy with all those spectators.
I like that you got the logo of KSBY on this front car and then KSBY on her jacket too.
Yeah.
Misty Lake Muskegon by Larry Decker.
Really nice contrasting colors.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just really nice.
Pretty shot. Yeah.
It was in November and the sun was low.
Bird
in the
noise.
morning.
Where was that?
In Muskegon, Michigan.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Night Watchman by Harold Litweiler.
Tweet.
Nice capture.
I like the way that the bird really pops off the background there. It really works
Oh, yeah.
well. And then you've got the pink and the blue in the background, which is a nice contrast to the brownish color.
And it's tack sharp.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the background is blurred, so that's really nice.
I was just surprised he stayed still when I got close to him.
Oh, maybe he thought you were going to feed him.
Maybe he was stuffed.
You shouldn't have put glue on the board, Harold.
I thought within like 6 feet of this guy, I was like blown away how closely let me get.
Wow. Sunset at Mono Lake by Rosie Barancasio.
Yeah, that's a beautiful photo, Rosie.
I had such trouble trying to get anything out there, Rosie. That's really nice.
Yeah. Very nice.
Beautiful.
I would have liked to seen you do focus stacking on this and bring the tufa up front in sharper. But other than that, the sky and the sunset, really nice.
I don't know how to do photo stacking. I don't even know what that is, actually.
Okay.
Just get a bunch of photos and put one on top of the other.
Oh.
It's
And,
not
use,
hard to
and
have to
choose the
teach
right
you.
blend mode.
This is Worlds Within and Worlds Without by Elaine Calvert.
Elaine, was that a man on the right?
That's a man, yeah.
Yeah, I
I
thought.
just liked the contrast, but with all the people
Yep.
sheltered inside having a good time and the homeless. So
Just trying to stay warm outside.
just trying to stay warm. Yeah.
And he's wearing the same colors as the colors of the lights inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Really
thought it
interesting.
balanced. A Plethora of Pelicans by Jeannie Sparks.
Looks like an air raid.
Grand Canyon by Harold Litweiler.
Nice shot.
Holiday Lights by Frank Trump. Lake Michigan Lighthouse by Larry Decker.
Very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Out on a Limb by Kevin Miller.
I like the way that his tail forms a question mark.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
hard.
agree. With Dan, I really love this image. That's why I still submitted it. But I think it caught the front of the tree in focus and just barely missed the squirrel. So
Yeah.
I'm still mad at that. But
I wonder if that Topaz AI sharpen would sharpen up his face and you could work on.
So where'd you take that, Kevin?
Sequoia.
Okay.
Well, I might have, with that question mark tail, I might have titled it, "What is that?"
Singing in the Rain by Ron Calvert.
I remember these guys.
Yep. Umbrella Evening by Gregory Doudna.
That's super cool, Greg. I like that a
I
lot.
kind of like that one too, actually.
Yeah, it was just a stray hair idea I had while we were out doing wet streets and slow.
Your umbrella?
I borrowed it from Jim.
I did.
What is it draining into? Is that?
Actually, there is in the lower left corner, there's a metal drain.
And you took the top
When
off of it?
people looked at it, they said the drain was distractive. So I eliminated it. I turned it into another puddle.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
But I really like the image.
Yeah, I do too.
Camelot Comes to Pismo, and another one of our honorable mentions by Ed E. Powell.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very
beautiful.
pretty lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the lady on that one.
Scarecrow by Alan Upshaw.
I like
Alan,
your.
that's a great shot.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, does anybody need to take a short break? We only have,
We just have 9.
we have 9 images in mono. So
Let's
Where we had.
let's
where
take a
we had
quick break.
3 honorable mentions for color. We will not have an honorable mention for black and white for monochrome.
Yeah. Let's just take a break real quick.
Okay.
All right.
While we're on the break, Jeannie, that is a beautiful picture that you took at Yosemite. I just want some credit because it's my red jacket. I made the image, right?
Just another celebrity wannabe.
Did you get a sign a waiver what did they call it?
Release.
No.
I didn't get a
Is that
release.
you, Cheryl, in the picture?
Actually, well, no, I actually thought that was a different woman. Cheryl got into my picture at a waterfall. But I don't know, maybe Cheryl was there and I forgot.
Yeah.
I think it was somebody else. I
I'm
think
going to
that
be up there
person was
tomorrow,
when I
so
was
I'm
there.
kind of curious where you were.
Don't be sure.
Huh?
I'm going to be up there tomorrow.
Oh, well, it's interesting because, there was a time when if somebody got into my shot where I didn't want a person, I'd say, but somebody told me, if somebody with a red jacket gets into your shot, that it's a gift. And Cheryl got into my shot when I was taking some of, what's that waterfall with the rainbow? Yeah. And other people are going, get out of the way. And I'm going like, hey, that's cool. So I'm going to have to show that sometime. Because I do have Cheryl in a red jacket.
You go tomorrow?
Yes.
You know that the entrance in Portal is closed, eh?
Yeah, Highway 41's open with chains, so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the high pass into there, so be careful.
So I think we should bring Daniel back when we do our animal category since he likes dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if I have my cat shots, it's not going to go.
Your host.
Oh,
I do like cats too, so.
okay.
Good.
Are you doing this one, Penny?
Yes, I can do this one.
Okay, good.
Has Jim returned yet?
Okay, I'm back.
All right, so we can move forward.
We needed a bio break.
Okay, this is our first image.
The title is Alex 2013 09 01 number 2.
It's a very great title. Yeah, this image is very cool. I think I love that the bird, the sailboat, and the subject are all separated and make a nice almost rectangle or diamond shape, laying down diamond shape along the horizon. And I think that adds a lot to the composure of the photo. I don't I don't know if this was filmed and cross processed. So there was it seems a little too grainy for me, but it could also just be the film and scan if it was a scan. For impact, I'm going to give it a 6. Composition, I'm going to give it a 7, and technique, I'm going to give it a 5.
18, 1-8.
Anthropology.
Yeah, this is another cool image. I like how the sign pops a lot. I wish that the person in the window popped a little bit more. And the composure to me, it does seem like the building is leaning forward just a tiny bit. So maybe just straighten it out a little bit. But for impact, I'm going to give it a 5. Composition a 5, and technique. It's a nice dual exposure. And so I'm going to give it a 6.
16, 1-6.
Beauty.
This is I love the contrast on this. And I love how sharp the petals on the rose are. It's very, very interesting, and this is it's a very nice photo, fine art photo, I guess you can call it. And for me, I like the contrast in the petals. I would like to see less of the closed rows, the bulbs, in the background, but overall, it's a very, very nice photo. Impact, I'm going to give a 6. Composition, I'm going to give it a 5. And technique, I'm going to give it a 5.
16, 1-6.
Clouds rest, moon rise.
This was a really cool. This is a cool image. You kind of got everything in this photo for a landscape photo. You got the moon, you got a nice fog, you got beautiful highlights on the snow, and then beautiful shadows from the trees. Very, very nice. Impact, I'm going to give it a 6. Composition, I would like to see it a little bit tighter and maybe a little bit make the moon a little bit crop a little bit off the left. So composition, I'm going to give it a 5, but technique, I'm going to give it a 6 as well. I just like the way that you brought out the whites and the blacks on this photo.
17, 1-7.
Reflections, patterns, and distortions.
For me, this was a really interesting photo. I like this kind of photography where you get to play with the lines and reflections, and you did a really nice job toning this image. You can see the mid grays, the blacks, the whites, but also it just makes it very trippy with the straight lines of the building, and then the curvy and wavy lines of the reflections, and it's just to me it's just really kind of cool. Very nice composition. I like that you can see all the kind of different sizes of the buildings. You see the one in the middle is the tall, like seems like the tallest, but the other two are close. And then you got two in the background, which makes it really nice. Impact, I'm going to give it a 7. Composition, I'm going to give it a 6, and technique, I'm going to give it a 6 as well.
19. 19.
Memphis Speed Kings.
This is a fun photo. This is a really well executed music photo. Getting the whole band in there in just such a small space. Really kind of capturing the moment of him standing on the bass guitar. Super fun. Impact. I'm going to give it a 5. Composition. I'm going to give it a 5, and then technique. I think this is a really nice technique. I mean, you got a lot in there, so I'm going to give it a 6.
16. 16.
Storm Stripped 3.
For me, like I just for this is a really cool way to show this area. The I don't know if they're dead, but just leafless, branchless trees really stand out to me. It's a very nice edited photo to black and white. Excuse me. And I would like to see a little bit more of the water, maybe less of the grass, but overall it really sparks your imagination on this photo. Impact, I'm going to give it a 6. Composition, I'm going to give it a 5, and technique, I'm going to give it a 5.
16. 16.
Amanda, number 12.
This is, to me, this was a really cool, beautiful portrait. I like how you played with the lights. Her pose. You can see a touch of her right eye, but her left eye is just staring right at you, kind of looking past you, and just a very powerful portrait. Really great light, really well composed. Impact, I'm going to give a 7. Composition, I'm going to give a 6, and technique, I'm going to give a 7.
20. 20.
Holding Mirror.
I don't so this portrait to me is just was really interesting. This is a really cool, interesting, fun portrait to me. This is unique, it's different. I don't know how, if you thought of this before, you were playing around, but it's a very, to me, it's a very well thought out, interesting way to take a portrait through a mirror. You kind of see both eyes, but you kind of don't see both eyes, and then you don't really see the subject, but you can see the subject. It's a very, to me, it was a very powerful, interesting image. Impact 7. Composition, I just think it's really well done. 7, and technique. This is a cool technique. 7 as well.
21 to 1.
Okay, let it roll. No ties. This is Alex 2013-09-01, number 2 by Jim McInnes. Anthropology by Alan Upshaw. Beauty by Rosie Brancasio. Clouds Rest, Moonrise by Elaine Calvert.
I really like that image, Elaine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. Really well done, Elaine.
Thank
Was
you.
the moon there or did you add it?
No, the moon was there.
Oh, wow.
That's exactly the way it was hard to get any detail in the moon because the fog kept rolling in front of it. But
Was this in Yosemite?
yeah, that's at Tunnel View.
Okay.
Hey, where'd you focus on? Did you focus on the moon?
I tried to get the moon in focus, and then made sure I got the rocks in focus.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Reflections, Patterns, and Distortions. And third place by Cheryl Decker.
Good work, Cheryl.
Yeah, great one.
I think you need new glasses. Everything's wavy.
See, the Memphis Speed Kings by Ed E. Powell.
In last place.
That is,
I
one
really
hell
like
of an interesting stunt on top of
Yeah.
that. And
Was the music good? That's what I want to know.
The music was good.
Yeah.
Okay,
These
yeah.
guys were
Those were-
rockabilly, rock and roll, and they were they were very good, very
Looked like they
talented
had fun.
people.
Yeah.
And they're performing here. It's actually it's a live performance, and he gets up on the bass like that. And it's some grandstanding, but the music was very good.
That bass player's going like, could you get off my guitar? Get off my bass.
yeah, I'm waiting for him to break that thing, and I know it's expensive.
That looks
Yeah.
like it would have been hard to get that kind of sharpness in that lighting situation.
Yeah.
And I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Hey,
cheated.
Got it.
sorry, Ed, which shutter speed did you use?
Storm Stripped 3 by Charlotte Daigle.
Very moody image. Really pretty.
Amanda number 12 and second place by Jim McInnes.
Yay.
Way to go, Jim.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Love those
that
eyes.
is
yeah.
interesting.
I love the focus on her eye, Jim.
Yeah, it turned out pretty good, I think.
Yeah, it did.
I didn't notice her right eye until Daniel pointed it out. I'm going like, what? You can see it? Of course, I wasn't that close either.
All right, and this is Holding Mirror in first place by Jim McInnes.
Super cool, Jim.
Yeah.
That knocks me out. I like that.
That's crazy.
Ranks right up there with your selfie photo in the shower, Jim.
Yeah, that's very cool,
It was,
Jim.
it was kind of a trick to get that mirror in myself, in all in focus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I basically, this is taken in my dining room, went down in Redondo Beach, and I set up a tripod and shot. I had to make a couple shots to get the focus proper, but
Yeah, I bet.
It is really I mean, it's a really interesting photo
yeah, thanks.
for a self-portrait too. I mean, it's very cool.
Yeah,
Can
thank
we
you.
go back to Alex?
Wait, before you go, what's that bottle of stuff on your desk?
I have no idea.
Oh, it's not something you were drinking.
No, it could be, but I don't remember.
Hmm.
And it's too small on my screen right now to see it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
Yeah. It could have been
It
some
looks like
wine.
a soda.
No, I don't drink sodas.
No?
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay.
Someone wanted
Can
to
we-
revisit an image.
Yeah, number 1.
I'm sorry?
Image number 1, this one.
Yeah, I think that's very cool also.
Oh, well, thanks.
In kind of a morbid,
Yeah.
defeated sort of way. I mean, it's like, suicide in progress kind of thing is what it evokes to me. And I
That's-
don't know if that's what you intended or not, but that's
That's
the way it
feeling I
feels to
got
me.
too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the idea there because she's walking off, into the water and the way she's holding her dress.
I just thought she needed to pee.
Well, I'd say if that was your intent, you nailed it, Jim.
Yeah,
'Cause
thanks.
that was a very strong impression that I got from it.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a forlornness about it, you know.
Yeah.
Like she's she's lost basically.
Yeah, she seems totally disconnected from the two boats and the bird and
Yeah.
really everything. It's yeah, very well done.
Well, thank you.
I like images that evoke in me an emotion or an intellectual process. Those I like a lot, and a lot of times they don't do quite so well in competition as others because it takes frequently more time for those things to develop than the images are given time to be viewed. And so, but I'm glad you got some credit for that. That's a very nice shot.
Yeah, well, great, thanks. I appreciate
Of course,
that.
I got a 16, so I'm not, you got more points than I did, but except for that, it's okay.
Well, that's kind of usual anyway, though, you know.
Well, it's a good thing Cheryl put her photo in of the building because otherwise Jim would have had a sweep.
Yeah, and then, we have to kick out another member.
Was that in Chicago,
For
Cheryl?
first, second, and third, you're out of the club forever.
Cheryl, was that in Chicago?
Yes, Chicago. Yeah.
Chicago? Okay.
That's nice. Some really nice images. I can't believe we had so many in the color division this time. That was
Yeah,
That was
was
cool.
like, that's like a bumper crop for us.
Yeah, that's too many. Charlotte, I liked your swamp photos. I'd love to see some more.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Kids, I'm going to leave you in the good company of Penny the
Oh.
Pooster. I've still got a lot of photographs to go through from the Jazz Festival this last weekend, which I did the photography for the event. And I'm up to Saturday afternoon. I've got the rest of Saturday and Sunday to look at and then figure out what the hell I'm going to do with them. Be well.
Okay.
Hey, take
Hi,
care.
Ed.
Hi, Ed. Hi, Ed.
Penny,
Yeah.
Bye.
who was keeping score on this? Was it you,
On what?
Penny, or was it Elaine? Because
Well, we
I'd like
both
to get this.
do.
Okay, well, I'd like
but-
to get a copy of both score sheets. If you could send them to me, that would be.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also have them.
I want to thank you for all your comments to really help us become better photographers. They were right on, just great comments, and just thank you for your time tonight.
No problem.
Yeah, was very
Yeah,
helpful.
really nice to hear the thought process and the helpful tips and hints.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys very much for having me. And yeah, I am working on a couple more judges, kind of helping Tony out. So I'll pass this along to Gregory as well.
Thank you.
And it's just yeah. He's such a great guy, and I'm happy to help him out. So if you could please donate the $50 to back to the camera club, for if somebody can't afford to go on a trip or something, just donate it to them, or dues for someone in Tony's name for me. So
Wow, that's great.
yeah.
Gracious of you.
Thank you very much, Daniel.
Yeah, I'm gonna sign off, but thank you guys.
Yeah.
I'm going to let him know that also. Thank you, Daniel.
No
Yeah.
problem.
And Daniel, I just want to add that I really enjoyed the comments. I think we learned a lot from everything you said, so that was really nice. And
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much, and you guys have a good week. So
Okay.
okay.
Bye, Daniel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Everybody in a week.
Okay, see you all next Wednesday. Please come, Charlotte.
God willing, and the creeks don't rise.
And no more rain for a while.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
the creeks are bound to rise.
Yeah.
We get
Hi,
another storm like
everybody.
this.
Good night, Cheryl.
Well, yeah, welcome to the
night.
club, Cheryl. I mean, Charlotte, excuse me.
Thank
Wanna
you.
sign off
I
too?
really
Good
enjoyed
night.
it. Thanks a lot.
Well, we're glad you're here. We need all the victims we can get.
Thank you.
Yeah. Looking forward to seeing more of your photography.
Okay, well, I think I'm going to sign off too. So thank you all. we'll see you next Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay.
Good night.
Okay, bye-bye.
Rubber like flies.